Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the PHNX Rising Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. I'm Ramon Chavez, and today I'm joined by Owen Evans. How you doing, sir?
I feel like I was expecting more of a jibe, something about how, the way I've been laughing the last couple of days, or I don't know, but apparently not, no.
And of course, taking it to the max, Max Simpson. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Dude, he didn't need a job. It was the absolute sigh toward, like, as he said your name.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the sigh and was like, where's the rest of it? Come on, Ramon. I know you can do better than this.
Especially after what you did before the show got started. But anyway, great show for y'all today. Jam-packed show. It's even though we're in the off season, there's so many news going on. So we're gonna definitely try to tackle all of them today. Great show. Man, I feel like
it's gonna be a really great show. It's going to be a really great show, what we're discussing at the end.
No, I don't like the way you're smiling right there. But we're going to talk about some new rising signings. We got a new one yesterday that was announced, and so we're going to definitely talk about that. A departure that is being circled around the Twitter sphere, which I don't think any of us here is too happy about. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the World Cup. See what's going on with that, and of course some other stuff that went on last week as well. But let's go ahead and get started, guys. Which one do you guys want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Ben Lundt, and the rumors there, or the signings? How are you guys feeling today?
Let's start with the departure. We'll go in chronological order, apart from the World Cup stuff, which can go last.
All right, let's do it. So yesterday, we were all minding our business, thinking that Ben Lundt was going to stay here for 2023, and then all of a sudden, some Twitter account called MLS Transfers goes out and tweets that Ben Lundt was close to transferring over to St. Louis City SC, which is one of the new expansion club for MLS. And that kind of took us all by surprise. And how did you guys kind of feel when that tweet went about?
Well, it was one of those things where it's not necessarily a huge surprise. We knew that. Look, Ben had a fantastic year. He's been on MLS's radar before. It's nothing particularly new in that sense. And of course, if we're talking about St. Louis City to be specific, it's a team with John Hackworth involved in the coaching. He's a guy who coached Ben in Louisville, so it's not as though he's, unfamiliar to him. Hackworth knows exactly what Ben has to offer, but it was perhaps a little bit of a surprise that it came at the time that it did. Of course, then what we end up doing, the first comes out, people start asking questions, we start shooting off texts and trying to see what's going on. All of a sudden, it turns out, who needs sources when you've got Brandon McCarthy tweeting? So yesterday, one of the fans actually tweeted at Brandon McCarthy. He did reply. We can have a look at his reply now, but he's pretty much confirmed that yes, Ben Lundt is on the move, but he'll also be bringing in a transfer fee as a result of this. So yeah, there's a positive there for Rising. On the one hand, it brings in money. We don't, of course, know quite how much money you're talking. These transfers tend to be relatively low fee, although there has been little bit of an upward trajectory in recent years. So, hey, it's a tough one to take in some ways if you're Phoenix Rising, because you don't want to lose a player of that caliber. However, when a player gets an offer from MLS from the next division up and you are a lower division team, as long as that offer ultimately is reasonable, it's very hard to stand in a player's way in a case like that.
Absolutely.
Max, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when you first see, an account like that tweeting the news, you take it with a grain of salt, even though, there are times where there's definitely accuracy to that. They're not going to say it just to say it for no reason. But you always think like, where's the proof in the pudding? And then when you have, like Dolan's saying, when you have one of the owners saying, yeah, no, this is happening, well, then full steam ahead. I mean, my first reaction is good goalkeepers are very hard to come by. And I think unlike a lot of other positions, there is a massive difference between an average goalkeeper and even a good goalkeeper and a great one. And make no mistake, for the level that he played at, we all unanimously took Ben Lundt as our Phoenix Rising Team MVP a couple podcasts ago. He's there for a reason. He's a guy who kept us in games. And like, honestly, even there are ones where we either should have lost or should have lost by a lot more. And I think that's going to be very difficult to replace. I think the money is nice. Don't get me wrong, but that is a position where a good goalkeeper can always keep you in the game. And especially where draws, we don't like all draws, but it's better than a loss. That could really be the difference. I personally am not a fan of it, especially when we don't have a boatload of depth at goalkeeper. So a lot of mystery to it.
Yeah, we need to address here actually in the chat here. Michael just throwing out Lalo Delgado all the time. Look, Lalo Delgado is a lovely guy. He has a role to play on this team. That role is not starting goalkeeper. I'm sorry. I think we need to make that clear that when Ben Lundt is departing, it means that this team needs to be strongly considering what it's going to do as a next step in terms of bringing in a starting caliber goalkeeper, because Lalo Delgado is not, maybe he'll develop into that person. He is still young, but he is not there right now. And I think it would be a mistake to go into the next season expecting him to be the starting goalkeeper for this team.
And this is not just on like a team level too. Like when Ben Lundt gets consideration for the best at his position, when you're in the top three, that is something significant. This is not something that this is just a rising bias or anything like that. Like he's thought of in USL circles as very highly. So, I mean, I think that, again, that also just kind of adds to it of like, if this is, we see this departure and this player is now leaving, how do you replace that? Yeah, I agree. That's kind of my sentiments on Lalo as well, but it's just it's a void for sure.
Also worth noting, actually, before we move on with other questions even on this topic, that while this one might hit harder than, say, the Greg Hurst news did, in terms of the impact on the team, there's no reason to feel as negatively as people did about the Greg Hurst deal and about how that one went down, because ultimately, look, you can't stand in the guy's way. If he wants to go and play at the next level, you wish him the best. Mm-hmm. You get a reasonable fee for him and you let him go. You cannot stand in the way of a player who wants to take that next step up, especially because, look, we've got to be clear here. Are we expecting Ben Lundt to start in St. Louis? No, of course not. They brought in a goalkeeper with Champions League experience who's played over 150 games for Borussia Dortmund. We're not expecting him to go there and be the starter, but you also have to consider just the sheer disparity in pay between USL and MLS, and it's wrong to hold a player back from that. They only get so long to play. You gotta let them play at the highest level they can and make their money now while they can as footballers. So again, it's a tough one. It plausibly impacts this team more so than the Greg Hurst move did, but there's no reason to be as disappointed, I'd say, in the way that this has gone down as people have been about the Greg Hurst deal.
Yeah, for sure. Because originally when I saw the tweet, I'm like, no way, man. Because if you take Ben Lundt out of this team and that defense, it's not, at least last year, it's not good at all. And so, but like you're saying, I think it's right by Rising to let Lundt, go to this team if the offer is there, and he clearly does want to be there, like Clayton here is saying. So, and we wish him the best. Is he, like you're saying, is he going to start every game? I don't know, but he wants to be there and he wants to give it a shot. And you got to commend the guy for wanting to do that. So,
I do really quick want to take a look at Michael's comment where he's saying we've always had luck with keepers, and I totally get that. That's a very fair shout. But Rising lineage over the last couple of years has been really fortunate with keepers from every leader, from Waz to Lubin to like everyone in between. I think the difference, though, is a lot of those teams had bona fide scoring. And I know we'll get into it a bit with the next player and the player, kind of do a recap a bit of players who have gotten brought in. But like those teams had very good scoring. The defense also, I think as a whole, was a bit more solidified. And when you take out, essentially, you don't have the scoring consistently, you don't have the same caliber on defense. I mean, you have the best guy on your team leaving and standing in the way of the opposition. It's just really tough to replace that. I get that you can get by with maybe a good goalkeeper, but when a great goalkeeper leaves, I think it's felt a lot further.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, good luck to Ben. Hopefully it works out over there, and we can continue see him climbing up the ladder. Moving on to the next set of signings, we got El Mago de Maryville. That's how he was branded. 26-year-old midfielder Jose Andres Hernandez was signed to Phoenix Rising, formerly from Oakland. So he kind of has that Juan Guerra connection there. But from what I've seen and from what I've read, this guy has the motor to literally play his heart out every single game. And so heard great things about him. But Owen, Max, how'd you guys feel about the signing?
It's not a surprise to me. It does put to bed some of the talk, I think, that people were pushing around this idea that Juan won't be able to sign players from Oakland. Well, that's clearly false. That's clearly false because he's just brought one in. But yeah, look, signing players with a local connection, it kind of rings true of what Juan said when he came in, which was that he was going to look for players that the fans could identify with. And you do see that there's always a positive boost when someone who is local is signed. Always, you saw it in the replies, quite frankly, when he was signed. This is someone who was a big part of Oakland's team last year. Sometimes the numbers don't always quite show you as much as you can potentially expect out of him, but he was the second highest played player. Got to get that one there. He played the second most minutes, probably a better way of phrasing that one, of any player on Oakland's team last year. I think he can definitely do a job in this team. I'm intrigued to see what happens with him on the field when he gets going here.
Yeah, I think it's a guy who he's able to really help link up from bringing the ball from defense to offense. You see in the clips they showed and looking at him a bit, a lot of it is through passing, but he does have that bit of, hey, let's link up play, quick passing, we can get it going. I think a lot of what this team lacked after Juan took over was being able to have a distinct thought of like, hey, this is what we want to be in transition. This is what we want to be as we build up from defense to offense. And I think having someone who has been in his system, who has worked with him before, I think that is incredibly valuable for this team. I think this is something where that familiarity I'm very high on and honestly excites me a lot based on the profile, who he is, and that familiarity that he has with Juan. I think those midfielders who can connect the play are really hard to come by, especially when you mix in the variety of passes and that motor that he can provide. You really don't see that from everyone, especially where it's either over the top, it's to the corner, it's through balls in, it's a bit of like link up play. You can do it all. I love that. That's really, really valuable.
Yeah, definitely. And we're definitely seeing how Juan Guerra is wanting to build this team. And I think he fits that mold of the type of player Guerra wants. So good signing on my end. The other one that was announced yesterday was Manuel Arteaga, a striker, Venezuelan. I know, insert your jokes there. But I think this is a good signing based on what I've seen. But Owen, you made a good point with your tweet in regards to when the signing came out, that you want to see the 2021 Arteaga. You don't want the 2022 version of him. Explain why.
He was very inconsistent last season. Now we need to kind of caveat that, of course, with the big thing, which was that he's playing for Indy 11, who had a very poor season last year. But Arteaga last year, did he score 5 goals? Yes. Did he do it in 2 games, getting 3 in one and 2 in another? Also, yes. That was out of 21 total appearances from him in the league. So last season was a very inconsistent season for him. Now, Michael's saying he missed some big chances in 2021. Yeah, he did, but he also scored in double digits. So you've got to kind of caveat it a little bit. This is someone who has got a little bit more to offer maybe in the air. I know, Max, we were talking about him earlier. You mentioned how this is a guy who to you is more of perhaps a true 9, perhaps more so than we've seen out of other players, or he can do more of a role in those kind of positions. But
yeah, I was gonna say absolutely. Well, I mean, if we have the clip that Rising posted of a bit of their highlights showing there. If we're able to pull that up, but it's really cool how you see he attacks the ball from many different ways. So here he is at the top of the box. has a bit of that finesse hesitation, but he has that striker's nose. He's able to get into the box. Here he is running on one touch. It's decisive. It's something that this team has lacked. Bam, another one touch. There's too much hesitation last year looking for the perfect shot. I love that he knows exactly what to do with the ball. He has that finishing ability that you really just cannot teach from a striker. You either have it or you don't. It's very difficult to coach. As you can see, he's scoring from top of the box, 6-yard box, running in, one touch, a bit of variety. And listen, I think that the goal drought a bit, like, yes, a hat trick one game, a brace in another. You would like to see that more spread out, a bit more consistently, for sure. But those types of intangibles and the way that he's able to score, that's something to me where I think he would catch on a bit quicker, knowing that he doesn't need the perfect shot. His intentions are not, let me wait for everything to align perfectly. He has a nose for the goal. He wants to bang it in, and that's what counts. I personally don't worry about the lack of goal scoring, because here's a crazy stat that, listen, I'm gonna miss Greg Hurst. I very much enjoyed him as a player and his profile, what he brought to this team. Interesting stat from last season: Manuel Arteaga, 289 minutes per goal. Greg Hurst, 325 minutes per goal. Numbers can lie; they can be deceiving, and it does not tell the full story. I'm not going to say that it is, but all I'm saying is there is a bit of wiggle room, per se, for guys like that who can find the goal, and things will happen based on how I see him play.
But here's what I'll say, and this is perhaps to piggyback a little bit off of what Michael's saying in the comments here. You have to bear in mind this is a guy who was in the 36th percentile for his position conversion rate wise in USL last year. So his conversion rate isn't necessarily the indicative of a player that you'd expect to set the world light. Of course, he is good. Again, he's good in the air. He's actually good with his passing as well. He tends to draw a decent number of fouls, so he does have all of that going for him. It's just a question of, again, is he going to be as inconsistent as we saw last season? Now, I do think it's worth kind of pointing out there's some negativity in the chat as well about this, and I understand it. I understand some of the negativity that I've heard as well. Obviously, we speak with fans, we hear all of that. It feels as though there's still a little bit of a hangover from the loss of Greg Hurst, and not just the fact that Greg Hurst went, because you were a lower league team. Everybody has their price, but the problem more is, I think, the manner in which Greg Hurst departed. And look, I mean, Juan's a football guy. You'd hope that he'd understand this one. You'd hope that other people in the front office would understand this one, that you are inevitably going to, when you let a guy go who, look, Greg didn't set the world alight last year, but he did put in some performance in a side that was overall quite lacking, in circumstances that were quite trying as well, being moved around different positions. Suddenly he was playing on the wing, and then he wasn't playing on the wing. And in all of that, he actually established himself as, something I think of a fan favorite on that team. He's not Ben Lundt, but he was well liked by the fans.
Absolutely.
And he is sent to a rival for what feels like very little. And inevitably, every signing that comes in of any kind of a similar ilk now is going to be held up to that standard of, why did we get rid of Greg for nothing, to a rival, to bolster a rival's chances in order to sign this guy. And is that a fair cross for some of these players to carry? Probably not.
No.
But they're going to. That's how football works.
No, and I think we're all aligned that, like, we wish we weren't having this conversation necessarily, that Greg Hurst was with the team. We all said we thought he was going to be, if everything was going to the course, he was still on this team, could be the guy at the number 9 position. It's unfortunate that we are talking about this. When you bring in a signing like this and the profile that he has, it just shows that, okay, we are going to be changing how we play a bit. I know that a lot of people, I'm seeing in the comments, that there was a lack of service this last year. Zero surprise about that. Service was not good. I think that this type of signing, and we'll see how it pans out, I might be wrong, but I think this type of signing, I'm not saying it doesn't need for better service, but it allows you to, how can I put this? He brings a bit of, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I have the instincts to make it happen. And you know what? Conversion rate might be low, and that's unfortunate. It's hoping that's something that you are able to hone in, have a bit more drill down of like, this is how we can convert better. But I think, again, it's those intangibles. And listen, they're not everything, but for a striker, out of all the positions, you need to have that. And I feels like this player has it.
In spite of the negativity, I will say this. Look, is he a surefire guarantee that this player is going to come in and have a fantastic season? No, absolutely not. He doesn't inspire the confidence of being an MVP candidate, let's put it that way. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to come here and produce.
Yeah.
There's also, while there's nothing in his record that says that he's going to come and be a 25 goal a season striker for Phoenix Rising, there's also nothing that confirms that he won't put up a decent number of goals next year. So I think there needs to be a degree of patience with him. I'm interested to see what he can provide out on the field. And yeah, we're just gonna have to wait. But that actually feeds into something that, and this is a broader topic of conversation here, that when you're thinking about the squad building as a whole so far this season, there's not really anyone going into the Christmas period now who makes you think, oh, phenomenal, they've signed this big name player. I mean, look, today when Altiago was announced as signing for Phoenix Rising, Indy 11 replaced him with Seba Guenzati. That feels like a blockbuster move. Yeah. And Phoenix Rising has historically gotten some of those blockbuster moves over the course of an offseason. You look at guys like Santi Moar when they came in. That was big news in USL. We haven't had one of those signings so far this offseason. And that doesn't mean that this team is going to struggle next year, because a lot of the players that are being brought in, again, are they necessarily players who you look at and say they're going to set the world alight? Maybe not. Doesn't mean they're not solid players, and it doesn't mean that as a team they're not being put together solidly. But where's quite the excitement? And especially when you've got people like Ben Lundt who are departing, who are the big name players on your team previously, who is the big name that is coming in? Now, we may see one coming in the next few weeks or a couple of months before the start of the next season. But so far, I don't think that we've quite had a player come in with that kind of gravitas themselves that really gets people excited about the new season.
And Max, before we wrap up this topic and just following up on what Owen just said, are you okay with not having a huge big name splash signing if it means having like a cohesive squad, kind of heading into 2023?
Listen, in an ideal world, you can have your cake and eat it too, as they say. I would love a big name signing and someone who gets that fan base excited. But if I'm being honest, if I have to choose one, I'm going to choose team cohesion, especially with this squad who, I think at points last season, there was a lack, both before Juan and at times when he was adjusting, that it lacked a bit of like, what are we doing? How are we going to beat opponents? And maybe it's worked in the past. Didn't seem to work last season. So if you can sacrifice the big name, so to speak, for like building a squad that is aligned in what they're doing, where there's familiarity with the coaching staff and a bit of decisiveness, which I think these two players that we highlighted provided, I like that. I really do. Time will tell. That's the best part about what we're doing and how we're talking about this. They might both flop. They might exceed all expectations. We will have to see. But I think that's the cool part of how we're able to analyze this. I guess the one thing I'll say is I like Edward's comment. If we're going to get rid of Lundt, we're going to sign a 7'5" keeper. That's what I'm saying. That's the real way to build cohesion. That's a big signing if I ever heard one.
One more point, and we've got a lot of one more points, it feels like, before we really move on here. I do want to just kind of make clear here, look, you have to give this team time. You're going to have to give them time to settle in, to build that cohesion, to build the chemistry between them when they come back. However, we should be clear here. I don't want to hear anyone kind of putting aside the fact this is Juan Guerra's team now. He is making this team in the mold that he wants. He is bringing in his guys, and he has gotten rid of some of the players who came in under Rick in order to do so. This is now Juan Guerra's team, and while he should be afforded time to make sure that this team comes together, that it can gel, that it can build that cohesion that they need, it ultimately comes back to him. There's not an excuse in my mind that he has inherited a large chunk of the team, because he has really done a job so far this offseason of rebuilding it in the kind of image that he wants them to be.
And when we brought him in, when he got brought in, I think that's something, I think, good or bad, that's what we wanted. You want to see a coach have the players come in that match what he's looking to do. I love it, honestly. Regardless whether how it goes, at least we're seeing a commitment to a new era.
For sure, definitely. And like Thomas is saying, you gotta let Juan cook, man. You gotta let him do his thing. We'll see. We'll see how it looks later on. All right, y'all. Let's take a quick break and ask what the heck is going on with Max's shoulder.
Oh man,
what'd you do today to have an ice pack on that shoulder, man?
Woo! Oh man, yeah. Oh goodness. Well, first I'll get rid of this, ice pack. By the way, this is like a very nice ice pack. We're not doing reads for ice pack though. We're talking about our friends at Bad Birdie, and that is why I am rocking with the Bad Birdie polo. It is super comfortable. It is super nice, very, breathable. And by the way, if you would like to score on some Bad Birdie merch, use the code PHNX BadBirdie15 for 15% off at badbirdiegolf.com. I mean, listen, it's the holidays. It's always golf weather here. Get yourself some fantastic stuff. They have a variety of beautiful looking things. Men, women, everyone, tops, bottoms, hats, everything, the whole 9 yards. And reason why I'm going to be rocking Bad Birdie and why my shoulder is so sore, because I was hitting the range today. Owen was there. Our staff, little all-staff meeting was there. We went to our friends at Dobson Ranch, take a little look-see-do of what they had going on. You know why? Because on January 13th, we are going to be doing our PHNX Tea Party. That's right, the very first one. Friday, January 13th at 5:30. It's going to be super fun. Gareth Bale, eat your heart out. We're talking about the real golf here. It's going to
Just to be clear, Gareth Bale will not be showing up to this.
Yes, we want to caveat.
Let's not let Max try and false advertise this.
We actually haven't heard officially whether he's not going to be there or not, but we probably rule it out safely. But anyway, yes, January 13th. We're also going to be doing a PHNX Suns watch party where you're going to have food, drinks. There's going to be merch there. Our partners are going to be out there. Contest prizes. There's cornhole, there's ping pong, we're shooting hoops. It's going to be everything. You get the clubs, you get range balls, you get everything. It's so much fun. I know Mike was looking at getting his tickets last show, but please join us. It's going to be super fun. I know the rumors, these two are already going to start it. If you show up, I'll buy beer. I already hate it because I just realized they're going to clip that. So gosh darn it, but it's already
Max, you're buying people beers.
Okay. Anyway, yes.
You
no.
There we
go. You just said it. You just said it then. Yeah.
Oh no,
Max,
you
should have said that for every person that goes, you'll get a swing out of Owen. Because we want to see how he hits the balls as well. So
I actually want to see a drive off between both of you guys. But no, on the real. Yes, it's if you guys want to come, it's gonna be super fun. Driving range, just a great event. We got heaters. It's gonna be warm there. Don't worry. All good times. So please come out. The link is in the description. I believe producer Lee is also gonna drop it in the chat here if she hasn't already. But yes, please come enjoy. It's gonna be super fun. We will all be there. So come hang with us.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what? Before we move on here, and let's just. Well, we can tell that you've been messaging Gareth Bale, DMing him on Instagram, and just trying to get something out there. Of course, Gareth Bale was in Qatar. Someone else was in Qatar recently, Santi Moar. So does this come up in the chat? I think we should actually address that. Santi Moar, do we think he should stay or go?
I'll let Max go first.
Well, I guess my question is, And then maybe this, I mean, listen, I don't know if there's a quick answer. Why do we think there was such a big drop off last year? Again, I want to get your guys' thoughts, and that'll kind of help answer my question.
There are some people who would say that he was quite one-dimensional. That's one argument that's been put forward, that it became quite known that he wasn't going to cross the ball, and when he did cross the ball, didn't typically have much success with it. So when you know the guy's going to cut inside, it makes it easier to defend. The other argument, Michael's put it forward in the chat there, is solo. When you take away someone who is a two-time MVP on the other wing, you're freeing up the defense to focus on Santi. And especially when a lot of other things weren't going right for Phoenix Rising, it opened up that possibility that you kind of focus on him. So I think it's a mixture of some of his own limitations, but also the limitations of a team that was, quite frankly, backfiring on all cylinders, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that sometimes it wasn't clear what his role was supposed to be. Was he just, cut inside, or is he, going to be more of a, a crosser into the box? And I think, he kind of got frustrated with that. And yeah, I think the solo, comment there, I think hits it on the head as well, that you kind of need someone to take the heat off of him, create that, if there's someone else kind of firing, it opens up a little bit more space for Santi to do his thing. And because he's been in the league for a while, people know how he plays. They know how to kind of attack him defensively. So I think he needs that, that help from the other wing, or even as a striker, just to kind of open up any lanes or spaces so he can take advantage of that.
Well, and I agree. I think what we saw last season was you have a lot of guys who were kind of crowding outside, crowding the edge of box. A lot of the times when we'd watch, you see multiple guys kind of in the same lane, and you're thinking, what are we doing here? I think a lot of the times he was invisible in some games, partly due to, yes, being one-dimensional in a sense last season. But I think also it was, again, just the lack of cohesion and a lack of the personnel, while good, not, I guess, gelling in the way where it opens up and maximizes his potential. So listen, if he doesn't, if let's say for some reason, boom, he's not there. I don't think a lot of fans would miss him, which, he served his time here. Fair. I am curious how he does in a new system with, you got a couple new facilitators in the midfield where you have a more central playing striker. I'm not saying that he's going to rekindle the exact magic of old, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and saying, like, you could probably produce better than you did last season. So I'm fine either way, personally.
Yeah, and I think Garrett will probably give him a chance. He's worked with him before. He knows him. So I think I feel like maybe Garrett can bring out that old Santi, and we'll see. We'll see what happens this season. All right, moving on, y'all. Of course, the World Cup is still going on. It'll end this Sunday. Went by way too quick, but way too quick, man. We had the first semifinal today. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I know Owen wants to talk about something or whatever.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday was a good day.
Yeah, not that great, but okay, take it away. I'll let you introduce it.
Okay, so Max, there were a couple of games on Saturday, weren't there?
Yeah, I think there were.
Yeah, so that first game, should we talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think we should.
Portugal against Morocco. Of course, Morocco. You wouldn't expect them to get through against Portugal, would you?
No, I mean, Portugal is one of the European giants. Morocco, African teams, they've been, doing well this year, but they don't, historically make deep runs into, the World Cup.
No, and especially when you've got a big star, like, shall we say, Cristiano Ronaldo on your team.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't be expected to lose to Morocco, would you?
Yeah, no,
it's hard when they only play 35 minutes. But yeah,
what did he do in the 35 minutes, though, Ramon? What did he do?
You think that your captain would be starting, and yet your captain didn't start, but he played a role, had some chances. He did come close, and yet, as we know in this sport, close don't mean much because we ain't playing horseshoes. So, oh man, that was a tough one. How that game finish again?
I believe it finished with Morocco advancing to the semi-finals, the first Arab, the first African team to ever make it to the semi-finals.
Well, that's
And
interesting.
Cristiano Ronaldo ended up leaving the field. I mean, you can see him here just walking off. You got a pitch invader there. Yeah, just conveniently came up to say hi, you know. And there's Cristiano Ronaldo holding it together. Oh, no, he's not holding it together. Not at all. So yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo didn't wait for his teammates. Didn't, you know, despite being
Never waits
one
for
of
his
the elder
teammates.
statesmen. Well, yeah. What does that say about him? Maybe it says why he's sat on the bench. I've got to be honest. Look, he's finishing his career now, presumably before the next World Cup. I'm not going to say exactly when because we don't know, but he's finishing his career presumably before the next World Cup. He'll have finished his career with no knockout goals in a World Cup.
Yeah.
I believe he scored 3 knockout goals in tournaments, full stop.
All right, keep going. All right,
So like is this seconds. A guy who shows up on the international stage?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. How did you think they get into the 2014 World Cup? What happened with that Spain game in 2018?
Really?
Yeah.
I'll give you that was a nice game. That was a nice game.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, he's gotten to the Yaji, right? Yeah, one knockout goal. Oh my gosh. Okay, boom. It's already been confirmed.
$100 million. He could never repeat that again. That goal again. Anyway,
no, I mean, I think it shows that when a player, and he hasn't gotten to the knockout stages every single World Cup, but the fact that he hasn't scored, and I mean, some performances. Not only has he not scored, from what I recall, he just hasn't played well. He's, you know, this one, I think he had a couple chances in a very limited role. But it's tough. And I mean, also, like, I think and you're a bully, you know, pointing out how he's crying. But honestly, the worst part about that video was you are trying to make it to the tunnel and like a pitch invader in one of the lowest moments of your life is like, hey, like, Ronaldo, let me try to give you a hug.
Hang on. That's the worst part.
I don't blame him.
To me, the worst part is the guy's walking off crying, and there's just a cameraman who's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna follow him. I'm just gonna follow him and capture all of this." And you know that at that point, it's living on the internet forever. Okay, that will never ever disappear off the internet because Cristiano Ronaldo walking off the field crying at a World Cup. That's
I think listen, like we saw her in the comments, like I think the GOAT debate, like it's, you know, put it to bed, like fair. And I think a lot of people already kind of had that before going to the World Cup, but I think now it's like all but solidified. I think the difference is a lot of the players you think of, and maybe this is a me thing, but I think a lot of players that are the greats, you think of them, if not equally for club and country, as very much like a prominent presence for both, like Messi. Yes, Barcelona is now at PSG, but also Argentina carries that team. You can list off multiple other players who have that same sort of stature. To me, I don't think Ronaldo's been a bum at Portugal. I think he's captained them. He has had good moments. He is, you know, Portugal star, first ballot guy for a reason. But to me, he's never had the same, like, I'm going to take the team by the scruff of the neck and carry them onwards as some of the other players has. And to me, that does weigh on, like, I don't think he's been bad for Portugal. I think he's been good, but I wouldn't say great. Even, you know, all that being said, with his goals, the tally is amazing. I wouldn't say he's like top for on the international level. I really wouldn't.
All right. No, it's
only got. Go on. You finish this point on Ronaldo.
No, here's the thing. Yeah, he was disappointing as far as the World Cups that he's been in. I don't think he, like to your point, Max, I don't think he's been able to carry and just put that team on his back like we've seen, you know, probably Messi this World Cup do, right? Maybe 2018 was probably his best showing, I would say, you know, with that Spain game and, you know, kind of carrying that team and still kind of having a little bit of legs because, you know, I don't think he could even, you know, run that much anymore in this World Cup. So internationally, I think Portugal has always been a little bit disappointing. That 2016 Euro is one of the big, you know, accomplishments that they've had. But you got to realize Portugal has not been like one of the elite teams in the world stage, you know, I would probably say maybe 2000 onward, you know. Before that, it was hit and miss with them. So I think as far as Ronaldo's international career, yeah, it was disappointing. Yeah, Michael, I know he was on the bench when he was injured, by the way. He wasn't on the bench when they won the 2016 Euros. But yeah, you could say disappointing just because
of his face, didn't he?
You know, when you compare that to his club career, of course, yeah, you know, it's not going to be easy to bring that in the international stage. But as far as this game itself, Morocco played fantastically. They haven't given up a goal the entire tournament that wasn't an own goal. And I think Fernando Santos, the coach, I think he made a lot of bad moves. He should have started Ronaldo. Gonzalo Ramos did not play as well as we all kind of expected him to do, you know, after that hat trick that he had. And you know,
Gonzalo Ramos, who scored as many knockout games in an international tournament in one game as Cristiano Ronaldo has in his entire career.
But then you saw what happened the next game. So,
but you would have benched a guy that just came off a hat trick.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. And
yeah, you got to bench the guy who had a hat trick to bring on the guy who's washed up.
It was a completely different game. You're really going to compare the Swiss to the Moroccan team and how they were playing? I don't think so. But you know, to each their own. But you know, when you have
someone Cristiano Ronaldo to a guy who scores in knockout games in international tournaments.
And so, yeah, Morocco's in. Props to Morocco for making it. I love to see it. And, you know, if they make history against France, it's going to be insane. So shout out to them and enjoy it, Owen. Enjoy it as much as you can.
Sorry, no, dude, you were the meme with the guy with like the so happy for you. And he's just like with a happy face mask and he's just crying and like pissed on the inside. So props to Morocco. I'm so happy you can cheer them on.
I'd love to actually, you know what? Michael's making a fantastic point here. Shout out to Cristiano Ronaldo, as many World Cup knockout round goals as I have. So yeah, that's my claim to fame, boys. I've got as many World Cup knockout round goals as Cristiano Ronaldo. So have you, Max, and you.
I do, yeah.
And in fact, so has our producer Leah.
Yeah.
We've all got
That's
as
true.
many World Cup knockout round goals.
All right, let's talk about the next game.
Let's talk about the next thing, because, you know, if we thought that we'd hit the peak with those Cristiano Ronaldo tears going down the
I wouldn't want to have seen
no, there were more tears to come. Let's take a look. Oh. Yeah. Oh, poor old thing. Oh, there's Kylian Mbappe. Oh, look how happy he looks.
Oh my!
Doesn't he look really happy? Look at that.
I like the camera shake too.
So yeah.
Can we be realistic about that for a second? England should have won that game. France did not look as good as they have before.
No.
Yeah, no.
They should have won. They should have won.
Don't start with that. They should have won it.
Could have drawn that game because they had two penalties.
I know you don't like England. I know. I understand it. But England played a lot better than France in that game. If you do not see it, you're watching the game.
I think that you are basing this off of the idea that France didn't attack when they took the lead. When they took the lead, they for the most part sat back. Well, I don't know, but he didn't put one over the crossbar from the penalty spot. I'll put it that way. Right? Imagine having a penalty and tackling merchant.
You're looking at it with the scope that you hate England already. No,
No, I'm going to put this seriously now. You're saying this because England attacked for a lot of the game. They did. But they did so because France were willing to sit back. France were willing to sit back because they saw in a lot of ways what England were offering, which was nowhere near enough to get past Hugo Lloris. For most of that game, it genuinely was not. England got two penalties, one of which was off an absolutely moronic decision from a defender. There is no need to commit to that challenge. For anyone who's wondering why there wasn't a red card there, it's because he wasn't getting to the ball. Okay, he had no hope of getting to that ball, which is only makes the fact that they gave that penalty away even more ridiculous. But I don't want to hear that a team that lost 2-1, got its only goal off a penalty, and then could have tied the game off a penalty and missed it, really deserved something from that game. Quite frankly, if you aren't putting the ball in the back of the net, you can't do it from open play, and you're showing no real inclination of being able to do it from open play, then you don't deserve anything. Look at France. As soon as they conceded the first one, they were right back up the other end. That's more about France's game plan.
They call that foul on Saka, and the second France goal.
not clear and obvious. There is no way that is a clear and obvious. Ramon, you say this, but people are like, oh my God, there's a little bit of. Look at Mark Clattenburg's English, and he was saying it wasn't a foul. Mark Clattenburg is English, and he's saying it's not a foul. And Mark Clattenburg worked the European Championship final as a referee, and we got Ramon Chavez here telling us that it was a foul.
Yeah, you got Ramon Chavez telling you, and the rest of the people that watched that game, that should have been called a foul, but it is what it is.
Fans don't have a clue half the time, Ramon. I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry, guys. How many of you ever picked up a law book? Actually, be clear here. How many
you're going
of
to
you
pull
ever
that one.
up?
Okay. All right.
No, seriously.
No, I'm not
if we're going to talk about fouls, let's talk about fouls. Who's ever read the laws of the game? How many of these accounts that 1 minute? How many of these accounts that are all saying this stuff that you're on about, Ramon, about the fact they're going online, they're tweeting about how, it was definite foul, and then the next minute they're tweeting at people saying Penaldo is finished. Are we taking them seriously now? Like, let's be serious.
I haven't read the laws, but I've been told I am the law.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, well, I
since I'm trying to draw this.
We're not going to fix it. So let Max be the clear head here.
We'll get back to the core of it. Is the PKs, I thought it was going to be a very interesting matchup where you have Harry Kane, Hugo Lloris, club teammates. I listened to the interview that they actually haven't practiced PKs against each other. Harry Kane, who is the primary PK taker for Tottenham, he usually practices against the second and third string goalkeepers, which I find fascinating. He absolutely roofed the first one, and you think where he goes to take that spot, it's always curious, especially when a guy makes it. Where is he putting it? And he went for the same spot. But boy, oh boy, that man scotted into the 12th row back. So
that was rough. Huh?
Never give a penalty taker the second penalty. You never give it to the same guy. Give it to someone else to put it in their spot. Don't let the first guy get caught up in the mind games.
That's a good question. Like, Chad, please chime in. Do you, in your opinion, if you put on your coaching hat, would you let a PK taker take it twice, regardless whether they made the first, missed it, whatever? Do you let them?
That was going to be my question. Yeah, that was going to be my question.
That's a very good question. That's good fodder.
Yeah,
it's good fodder. But no, I thought it was interesting. Yeah, it's tough look for Harry Kane enthusiasts out there. But hey, he's England, not Tottenham right now, so I'm okay. Actually, no, now he's Tottenham because he's going home. He's going.
Oh man, yeah. It must be rough. I have a lot of questions. Just to put a bow on this, Gareth Southgate. I don't think he's fit to be the English coach. The England.
Who
coach.
are they bringing in?
Yeah,
you don't let a guy go 3 cycles. No way.
Can we all take a laugh for a minute at the fact that there was a column in the Guardian suggesting they're bringing Brendan Rodgers?
Oof.
Please, I am asking you, please hire him.
That's a fantastic transition into another game. Guys, there was Croatia, Brazil, and Netherlands, Argentina as the other quarterfinals. I mean, both absolutely absurd games. Which one you got? Which one did you enjoy more? Because my word, breathless. 240 plus minutes of breathlessness.
That Argentina Netherlands is an all-timer. Just for all the off the field stuff and all the stuff that happened during penalties, that's an all-timer. That's what a World Cup game should be.
The free kick. Just insane.
I looked this up in Dutch, and it's either ballen or it's a medical term. In Dutch, I believe you pronounce it testikels. It took massive guts to absolutely pull that off.
I don't think that's what the word is, but yeah.
Unless Google's lying to me, that's what it says. But no, that is like everyone thinking you're going to go over the wall. Wow, that's just a playground drawn up in the dirt. I absolutely love that and how it went. I mean, that's drama. That's why we love it. I think that game was an all-timer for sure.
For sure. Let's talk about today's semifinal really quickly. Croatia against Argentina. I saw it. I think Croatia was just out of gas, man. Too many penalties, too many extra time. And I think this team, once they gave up that goal, I don't think they were mentally ready to combat that Argentina offense because I feel like it all just went downhill after that.
The second goal was really just a killer. I mean, they were... The most intriguing part of all of that is that I think that Croatia, despite how good the goal was Croatia had the chances to clear their lines twice, and they failed to do so. And when you do that, it really just, you're kind of inviting it at that point. You've kind of brought it upon yourself that you're just going to concede that goal, no matter how good it is. You didn't have to concede that one. So
this is coming from a guy who I was sitting next to Owen, and he said that was Maradona-esque. That was the second version of Maradona.
Yeah, but I said there was a few more lucky bounces.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it was. The defenders should have cleared their lines at some point. There were a couple of times there, actually, Max, in that entire game where I just kind of turned to you and said, they're just not clearing their lines. You know, there were times when the clearance would be poor and ultimately go to an Argentinian player on the edge of the penalty area, and you just hoof it out sometimes. Like, I mean, safety first sometimes. Don't keep the pressure up on yourselves.
No,
give yourself a half breath to recover.
I mean, that the first goal, where was that gap between the center backs? Came out of nowhere. It's a that's a PK. Second one, you're not going to score that time. Not that 99 out of 100. That was just bounces right to you. That third one, that's messy. I mean, I got nothing more to say than that. That's messy, man. That's art. That is art.
It's a look of a man who doesn't want to be filmed walking down the tunnel crying.
Oh my!
This is when we're getting better. Anyway, all right. So tomorrow there's another semifinal, France versus Morocco. A very, very good game that's going to happen tomorrow. Let's take a look at the odds from our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook. France -180. Draw plus 275, and then Morocco to win it plus 600. So if you want to make some money, man, Morocco, they're riding that wave. So, plus 600 in regular time, and then to advance, a -425 for France and plus 320 for Morocco. So if you want to put your odds or your bets in there, make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and get yourself some money, man. A lot of people making money, man. I should be making these bets as well, because I could use the money as well. But if you guys haven't downloaded it, make sure to do so. And when you do, make sure to use the promo code PHNX, like you see on the screen right there.
Feel like that one's going to have a big Moroccan advantage in terms of support in the stadium.
Buy like a bunch of tickets, like the country bought like 20,000 tickets or something and gave them to people to go. Like, that's insane.
Nuts. I mean, and there are so many Moroccan fans there. And not only that, but a lot of the locals are supporting Morocco as well. And at this point, quite frankly, any neutral is supporting Morocco. What an achievement it would be for them if they get there. I wonder if France might be a step too far for them to get past. But I don't know. I mean, this French team can't keep a clean sheet. And often it's bad mental errors that are the result why they're conceding these goals. I mean, look at the penalties in the last couple of games, not just against England. They conceded a penalty in the dying stages against Poland as well. So it's bad decision making. And again, they haven't kept a clean sheet all tournament. So you never know. You never know.
Max, which one would you like to see in the final? France, Argentina, Morocco.
I like both storylines. I mean, Morocco. I mean, any team that gets this stage, while it is a Cinderella run and where they're ranked, like, they do have quality. They have genuine quality that I think people are overlooking, and they're playing up the storyline. I think that'd be amazing, especially the first African team to. I mean, they've already made history. First one to go to the final, first one to possibly win it. That'd be incredible. France also, can they repeat? Haven't seen that in decades now. Also, then you have this plot line between Messi and Mbappe, a little club riff early on in the season. I'm really fine with either. I mean, listen, it's probably the neutral's favorite, but I mean, give me Argentina, France. I actually think that is who's going to win.
Not the neutral's favorite. Come on, Morocco.
I don't know, man. I think if you ask the average
fan, it's not.
Who they rather see, it's the star. I think it's the star power.
You really want to see the star power? You don't want to see Morocco get in there. Genuinely. Because all the chat at the moment was "Let's go Morocco." Everyone that we speak to in person seems to love the idea of Morocco.
Podcast.
That's what I heard, Max. You're right.
Only for last weekend. We quickly
Owen just
pivoted
makes
away
rules
from that now. And we want to see Boufal dancing with his mum on the pitch again tomorrow. I mean, come on. How can you not want to see
more the mothers against me? Don't use the moms.
Now I'm on Owen's side, man. He brought the mothers up. Now I got
Come on.
I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
A lot more exciting than
Anyway, what I think we need to relax for a second. Don't you guys agree? It's been a really heavily charged podcast today because of a certain someone. But what I do to relax after the shows, I take myself.
You watch Harry Kane's penalty miss again.
No, I laugh.
That's what I do.
I was sky. I agree with that one, Owen. But yeah, to relax, I use some.
You want to get as high as Harry Kane's penalty.
I do my read, Owen. Come on, man. Yes, OGs. Yeah. There we go. Put it on camera. You got the gummies there. You got the Sleepy Time edition. That's the one I really need because I need to get my good rest over here, which I often don't. But tropical flavors, fantastic flavors. If you guys haven't tried it, make sure to get them at your local dispensary whenever you're there. And remember, guys, you must be 21 years or older, or you guys can go to their website, ogsbrands.com, and check them out there. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I mean, if for those of you who are kind of curious, haven't tried it yet, first off, what are you doing? Second of all, if you are worried, oh my gosh, edibles, bad connotation, you got the microdose, 3 milligrams, very easygoing, delicious. You do not get the holy bleep, this is an edible, it's going to hit me. No, it's nice. Again, not a doctor. I'll make that very clear, but it's very nice and super user-friendly if you have not indulged before. So give them a try. We love them.
Try it out for sure. Any other jokes, Owen? No.
I feel like we've kind of hit the peak there. Just remember.
Oh, nice.
You want to get as high as
another transition? Oh, whoa! Did I hear that? Oh my gosh!
Transition. Yes. Shout out to our friends at Four Peaks. Dang, Owen, you're on fire today. But yeah, check out our friends at Four Peaks in Tempe as well. 8th Street location. Fantastic beers over there. I'm low-key having withdrawals, Max. I don't know about you because we went hard during those 2 weeks that we had those World Cup watch-alongs. I need me some beers. So I'm definitely gonna head down there.
Some of us stocked up back when they were doing those full variety packs, and so we got a lot of the pumpkin porter sitting.
You did. That was like that was nice. I was gonna say, I remember you walked out with a couple of them, but I know, soon to variety packs, they have a couple. They're doing right now their Advent calendar box, which is cool. You open up, get a new beer every day from started on the 1st. You can have it through Christmas Eve. If you haven't started yet, you can get it now and drink half the box. Again,
drink half the box initially. I'm sure you'll be feeling great after 14 beers. Drink responsibly.
Not a lawyer, not a doctor. Yep.
A lot of disclaimers in these reads, but yeah, make sure to check them out. Make sure to check them out. Check them out for sure. Shout out to all the sponsors. Yeah. All right, y'all. About to wrap up the show. I do want to touch on something that happened on Friday over there in Qatar. If you guys were not aware, one of the foremost journalists in U.S. soccer, Grant Wahl, he passed away on Friday, and you guys feel free to share your anecdotes, but yeah, it was pretty tough when I heard those news. He's one of those guys that I kind of read a lot about, and I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but he was the guy that I was always reading growing up, and getting to know about American soccer, and of course with the U.S.-Mexico rivalry, he was always getting interviewed and on TV, and very eloquent in the Spanish as well. So I always kind of looked up to him as one of these journalists that were pushing the game forward. And I got my little Grant Wahl edition here of Masters of Modern Soccer, and he actually got to sign it. I don't know if you guys can see it there, but yeah, very, very cherished piece of books. And if you know me, I don't buy books often, but this one I had to get. But yeah, the news hit me pretty hard. So it was a tough day, on Friday hearing those news, and so my condolences to his family and his wife, and I know he had some family here in Arizona as well. So on his Instagram, I would see he would travel over here often. But very, very sad to see him passed away, but I choose to remember him as just being such a force in journalism, soccer journalism, and in America, and pushing the game forward. But very sad news to hear, and just want to hear what you guys have to say as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. He wasn't a player. He wasn't someone who was like, not everyone, I guess, like if you only follow players, you may not have come across him. But then again, in another sense, how could you not? Because he bridged the divide for those who had never never seen soccer in America. He really did help transform the sport and bring more light to it. I mean, for as much as we give credit to a David Beckham or, for coming to MLS, and, or, both the women's team, hosting it, back winning the World Cup back in the day, the men's team hosting it, both those in the 90s, like for all that talk, he really did help bridge a gap for, I think, like our generation, for newer generations of the work he did. I mean, he just seemed beloved on everyone on social from what you hear. Just a guy who just lived, eat, and breathed the sport. I mean, it's really crazy the connections he had, working with Bob Bradley at Princeton, going to cover Boca Juniors when he was in college. The guy went to 8 World Cups. Like, it's just crazy. You don't see people do that all the time and to dedicate your life to a sport. I mean, it's beautiful and it's very tragic. And it's, no one wishes that it happened, but I mean, I guess there's no good way to put it, but like he literally, he passed in a stadium watching the beautiful game. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that, but it's crazy. So he'll be missed. Yeah, everyone has a Grant Wahl story, even though I've never met him, but it's just wild, honestly.
Yeah, very unfortunate event, but condolences again to his family, everybody that, it's a tough time for everybody. And, it was great to see the outpouring of support and, to his family on Twitter and everybody. And like you're saying, Max, everyone had a Grant Wahl story. So that was great to see. And, but yeah, we, it's tough, man. I can't even really talk about it. I was really sad on Friday, but we'll, no good way to transition here, but just to wrap up that, he was one of the people that just, to those people that, were saying, hey, soccer's not growing, soccer is never going to be that sport that's going to take over America. This is the guy that was trying to push it that way. Not only the men's game, but like you said, Max, the women's game, he was very involved in that as well. So yeah. So, all right, y'all, we'll leave it at that for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back on Thursday for another show. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. Take care.